The mysterious disappearance of Edgar Allan Poe. It was a cold, foggy evening in 1849 when Edgar Allan Poe, the master of Macabre, vanished from the streets of Baltimore. The writer who had enthralled readers with tales of terror and mystery, whose words haunted the minds of his audience, had become the subject of his own enigma. Few knew that the final chapter of Poe's life was about to be written in a way that no one could have imagined. Poe had been ill for several weeks, battling a mysterious fever that kept him bedridden. His friends and acquaintances had witnessed his rapid decline, but there was one thing they all agreed on. Poe's obsession with his upcoming work, The Mystery of Marie Roget, had not faltered. In the days before his disappearance, he had become increasingly erratic, his eyes wild with a feverish intensity. Some said he had been haunted by the story, as if the characters themselves had come alive in his mind. But then, on the night of October 3rd, 1849, Poe was found stumbling through the streets of Baltimore, disoriented and incoherent. He had been seen speaking to a stranger just before his disappearance, but the details of that conversation were lost to time. It was at this point that the story takes a strange turn: the mysterious letter. The next day, Poe was found in a tavern, his clothes torn and covered in mud, his eyes vacant, as if he had seen something beyond human comprehension. He spoke only in fragments. "The shadows, they follow me. Roget, Roget." A letter was discovered on his person, but it was not addressed to anyone. The contents, written in a hurried hand, were a jumbled mess of words that made little sense. "She is not dead, Poe. You must finish the story before they do." Who had written the letter? And why did it seem to suggest that Poe was more than just a writer, but a pawn in a far greater, darker game? The mysterious letter was never explained, and it only deepened the growing suspicions about Poe's state of mind. Some believed it was a sign that his illness had finally consumed him, but others wondered if there was more to the story, something that had been deliberately hidden from the public eye. The vanishing point. On October 7th, Poe was found unconscious in a back alley, delirious and mumbling. He was taken to a hospital, where his condition worsened by the hour. The doctors, perplexed by the strange symptoms he displayed, could find no cause for his affliction. He died just 3 days later, on October 7th, 1849, at the age of 40. But his death left behind more questions than answers. Why had Poe been wandering the streets in such a state of confusion? What did the letter mean? Was it a cryptic message left behind by someone or something that Poe had encountered? And, most disturbing of all, why had he spoken of someone named Roget, a name that seemed eerily familiar but never fully explained? The unsolved mystery. The truth about Poe's final days remains one of the great unsolved mysteries in literary history. Some have suggested that he fell victim to a form of rabies or alcohol poisoning, but those explanations feel inadequate, given the strange circumstances surrounding his death. Others believe Poe was murdered, perhaps by the very person or persons who had left him that cryptic letter. Even more chilling is the possibility that Poe had uncovered something far darker, something he could not escape. Perhaps the shadows he mentioned were not just the figments of a fevered mind, but real entities that had followed him to the very end. In 1875, nearly 3 decades after his death, a cryptic letter surfaced in an obscure French archive. Signed with the initials RR, it was written in a foreign hand, and it contained a chilling message that seemed to suggest that Edgar Allan Poe's death had been no accident. The letter spoke of a great secret, one that Poe had been dangerously close to discovering, one that no man should ever know. What was the secret? And was Poe's life and death part of a much larger conspiracy, a hidden truth buried so deep that it would take centuries to uncover? Poe's legacy as a master of suspense and terror has ensured that his life and death remain a mystery. But the questions linger. Was Edgar Allan Poe simply a man undone by his own madness, or was he the victim of something far darker? No one knows for sure. The story of Poe's disappearance may never be solved, but one thing is certain. His final chapter was one that no one, least of all Poe himself, could have anticipated. The shadows still follow.